We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. I'm Gabe Johansson, back in the studio from Japan. Konnichiwa. It's so good to be back. We got Mark Gallegos, our reoccurring special co-host, Trevor Howard, and Mike Nuss.
We got Mark sleeping on air right now.
Dane is out sending a wire. We're closing a deal today. Today's a good day. I'm so happy to be back.
How do you say welcome back in Japanese?
I have no idea. I will tell you this, though. I'm a total Japan geek. I sold Japanese cars for 20 years. I took Japanese in high school. I play video games. I do a lot of nerd stuff that a lot of people wouldn't really expect me to do. And so it was a total nerd fest for me. I loved every minute. But I was told when I was a kid, and I don't know if you guys were told this, but they tell us in school, American schools, they say, you guys are so far behind the Japanese kids because they start going to school when they're 3 years old. They all learn English. They do all that. And they are it's a high pressure society. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Nobody in Japan speaks English. And I've been told by people that travel the world, I'm like, so in most places you go, can you find that usually you can get around because most people can speak a little bit of English? And the answer is yes. And I've been to a few places now, and the answer is yes. But you go to Japan, the answer is no.
Oh, no.
So without ChatGPT, Google Translate, some of the technology, if you don't have a guide with you, you are going to be totally screwed.
I booked the wrong flight for when we go in December. And I'm landing on a different time, place, and day than everyone else. Do you think I'll be able to find my way to them?
And you're going to be by yourself?
Yeah.
You've
got a big enough.
And I have no idea how to travel just in the United States alone.
Yeah. You have a big brain. You'll figure it out. Use ChatGPT. Google ChatGPT. Tech will get you
Mark
there.
gets mad at me for using ChatGPT.
This guy does everything in his life out of it.
Do you have a relationship with your AI, Trevor?
I guess you could call it that.
Do you talk to it like it's a person?
Reliance.
Not complete reliance. I like to get input and feedback and just not do more work. So if I have to write a really long thing, I'm like, here's all the details. Write it in proper English.
That's what everybody uses it for. But have you named your AI?
I named it Mark. No, I didn't name my AI.
Logan named his AI Maestro, and he has, at night, that's what he does, is he has conversations with Maestro, and they come up with, they work on stuff, and then they do some fun projects, and he sends me memes and things that he makes out of Maestro. Yeah.
So I was curious, because when we went to Europe together, we talk about deals, whatnot, we came up with the idea of the LBO, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have any realizations or any insights that you had during your time off?
Yeah, I realize how stupid we are to say that we're going to buy all the real estate, because I went up into the Shibuya Tower and I looked over Tokyo, 37 million people in one city, and you look in every direction 360 degrees as far as the eye can see, there's just nothing but skyscrapers. I can't fathom how many, think of the investors, the developers, the debt, how does that? It's like taking every. Is it a central bank? Is that how they
break it down, Mike?
So it's socialism is what you're talking about.
They started quantitative easing after we bombed them. That's the other part, is to think that all this was rebuilt in 80 years.
Yeah, that was the other thing. They're like, well, after World War II, there was nothing here. Yeah. And then you look at what happened.
Yeah.
It is, you can't, even looking at it with your own eyes, you can't understand what you're looking at.
What is the draw to that place? Why so many people there? Because I
wish I knew. I couldn't learn anything about. The other places you go to, they cater to tourists and things are in English, and they want to show off the things that they did. They don't do any of that there. If you want to know what you're looking at, you got to just Google it while you're standing in front of it. That's why you'd probably need a tour guide. I probably should have done a little bit more history lesson on it before I went
you're looking at,
to know what I was looking at. Basically, it's just lots of food. There's 160,000 restaurants in Tokyo. There's lots of food. It's lots of shopping. It's lots of people. It's an amazing infrastructure, the way that they've built it.
So other than the fact that you realized you can't buy all of the real estate, did you realize anything helpful to us?
I think that people can probably do a lot more than we think we can do. If you can build that in how long? 80 years or something?
And like you said, it's a pressure cooker, right? And so their entire life is based on this level of productivity. Like from your day you're born, you're going to be put in this pressure cooker to produce on this certain
They tell you what you're going to do when you grow up.
Yeah.
I don't think you could do that in any other culture. I haven't found another culture yet that's like that where you could pull that off.
So you came back and you realized we need to think bigger.
Well, you sound like you weren't inspired. It sounds like you're
depressed.
It depressed you.
You know, I'll be honest with you. The people there are depressed. When I went to Belize and there's like 400,000 people in the whole country, people walking around barefoot and there's chickens and dogs in the street and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe they just look depressed, but like you could feel a sense of like you're just a
number.
You're just a number. You're just an ant in an anthill. It's really cool to see it, but I would not want to be. For me personally, it's hard for me.
Well, how was the air quality there? Was it actually?
Jan said it wasn't very good, but I thought it was fine. I mean,
okay, you didn't even notice. Yeah.
One takeaway there, besides people don't speak English, is not one garbage can in the whole city.
And it's clean, right?
It's clean because everybody carries their own trash around with them. You don't throw anything away. So there's nobody digging through garbage cans. There's no, like they say like, oh, you don't have homeless camps. You don't have this. Like there'd be nowhere to put a homeless camp. That's where the building is.
Yeah.
It's like the sidewalk is full of people. The building is full of people. Under the earth with all the subways is full of people. Like I saw like 3 homeless people and they're just laying on the ground in the middle of a sidewalk with 1,000 people walking by them. You know, they got their green tea and their ramen laying next to them, you know. Apparently, they don't do drugs there. They drink cough syrup. So if you happen to be a bum in Japan, that's what there's some special cough syrup that I'll get high on. Yeah. It was an amazing experience. It was super exhausting. You cross the international date line, so you gain 3 hours going to Hawaii. From Hawaii to Japan is only like a 5 or 6 hour flight, but you lose 20 hours from Hawaii to Japan because you cross that line. So it's weird. You show up on a different calendar day. It's only 3 or 4 hours difference, but it's a different day. That was weird. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if I wasn't with you guys, so I wasn't thinking about real estate all the time, which I think I needed to give my brain a break anyway. So that was nice.
I heard if you give your brain a break, you have better ideas later.
Yeah, it gives you some clarity for sure.
Did you come back with more clarity on?
I'm still recovering. It's my first week back, and I'm adjusting to the time schedule, and so I'm sure I'll come up with something.
How was the first week back? Did it get hammered as you expected, or what was the?
Well, my work life. You go from crazy travel life to crazy work life. So yeah, I got hammered, but adjusting to the time was not so hard coming back as it was going there. Except for you wake up at midnight and you're ready for breakfast. So
I was hoping the clarity you would have was we get you on Stack full time.
Yeah, I know that is part of the clarity, is just trying to
say no to more things.
And how do I clear up? How do I really look at what I'm doing with my time, and where can I be used more effectively and pass off some of the things that I'm doing? And there are some things that I'm doing that I'm working on right now at passing off.
I have a whole plan for your life for you.
Yeah, I just listened to one of your podcasts from when I was gone, and I found out that you don't give the best advice. So I'm going to listen to what you have to say.
That's okay.
And then you find out he doesn't give the best advice?
Because I think Mike pointed it out, and then Trevor said, "Yeah, I don't always give the best advice." Mm-hmm. I love listening to you guys when I'm gone, though. But I'm happy to be back.
That's funny.
Mark, wake up, Mark.
I'm up. I'm pumped.
Mark is a introvert, so talking drains his energy, whereas it just gets us excited.
Yeah, there's different phases of it. Like some days I got a certain amount of words, and once I use them, I'm shot.
Are you still spinning from that Rob Beardsley interview we just did?
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. I think it takes me a while to process. So I kept bugging you guys, like, what are we going to talk about today? Because it takes me a little while to wind up. Because I'm still winding down.
Yeah,
from that
you can't be a
podcast.
deal junkie, dude. We make this stuff up on the spot.
So what were your guys', I wasn't on it, like what were your actual takeaway? Because our goal of the podcast is to meet people like that we otherwise wouldn't get to talk
100%. The whole goal of Deal Junkies was pulled off in the last episode. It was sad that you missed it. But to be able to just have an hour exposure to a guy like that, he was super, super cool, super friendly, super informative, very, very sharp guy, obviously. Very inspiring to hear what he had to share. So I think it was awesome.
Is your takeaway like, okay, I see the path and we can do that too type of thing? Or you're like, okay, here's the key things, or what I'll
be honest with you, like for me, I feel like we're pushing our boundaries as far as we can push them, and we continue to challenge ourselves to do bigger and bigger. But to listen to somebody he skipped several steps that we're taking right now. And so for me, it was
what do you mean he skipped several steps?
Instead of starting out with a 10 unit, 20 unit, 30 unit,
he just jumped to 260.
Yeah, his first deal was 200 units. So,
well, I'd even go back beyond that. He mentioned most of the times about the foundation, like it's building a foundation's hard, but it's a lot harder to rebuild the foundation that wasn't the right size for what you were going to build. And that's the biggest difference with you guys is you spent the past 12 months creating your foundation. But
we just had this conversation last night. We're all on the phone together at 9:30 at night talking about how we grow this team. And it's really hard to think forward 10 or 20 years and think about what is the foundation we hope our future selves built now, and what do we give away, and what do we offer, how do we attract the right people, because that's one of the things he talked about was, his foundation was built on sand, and so now you've got this big machine that you've got to operate, and you don't have the right foundation, you got to go rebuild the foundation. So I feel really good about the foundation that we're building. I want to stress that we should be very thoughtful about how we build it, and very, very forward thinking, because it's like we just built out the new office space and we're all excited and everybody gets going, and the first day it's done, we're like, oh, we need something twice as big. Well, should we have just built out an office twice as big? How do you look out in the future? You don't know exactly. You set out with the best intentions to grow and to build this big thing, but part of you thinks, well, maybe it'll happen and maybe it won't, and we have to adjust as we grow. I think one of the things we need to change is we need to expect the success, and we need to expect the growth, and just prepare ourselves for it, rather than...
I think we already are. Like, I'm looking forward, and we're picking up the people before we need them.
I think you are. I really think Trevor is the visionary, and I think you're the fire that's pushing us all to go out of our comfort zone. But I want to make sure that we build our foundation on rock.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the people before we need them.
Which is great. If there's one thing I think that would be good for you is to understand that, especially with the industry that you're in and the time frames that real estate trades on, plateaus are an essential component to having a good solid foundation, right? Like, you can't just keep packing and packing and packing and packing. At some point, you got to allow what you packed on it to sit for a little bit to see where it fails or where you can add more on. And you got to let stuff season, and you can't just grow and grow and grow.
I think we can grow in different areas, though, because this is the phase we are going to go through. We had too many deals. Then we had not enough money. Then we had too much money. Then we fixed the deal problem. Then it was an operations problem. And we're going to cycle through those three things. And I think how we solve it right now is with the programmatic JV, and we find a $50 to $200 million bucket of money. And we're using that with the programmatic JV to do those deals.
It solves one bottleneck.
But then it will be operations and deal finding at that point.
And that's what Rob Beardsley talked about, was it really came down to his biggest challenge when Mark asked him was just building the team. And I think that's the bottleneck cycle, is not enough deal flow. Now we've got it. Now there's not enough money. Now we've got it. Now we don't have the team to operate. So, like, how do you build that team forward thinking, knowing that we will solve the other two bottlenecks?
So you have 4 teams. You've got your acquisition team, your capital raising team, your project management team, and your asset/property management team. And so, like, you nailed it. That's where scale gets good, is because you can have a team in each category. Whereas trying to get to the point where you're building a team in each category, that's a struggle.
And I think how we're doing it now is actually perfect, because when I was thinking about on the front end, I thought we were going to go bottom up, meaning we hire lower level and then higher over the time. But now it will grow naturally because we started top down.
Start with the C-suite.
Yeah. We started with the players who will build those teams, so they're doing everything and they know the systems, and I'm building the systems so they can plug the next person in as their bandwidth gets too small.
But that's a luxury, right? You have resources, you have tools, you have partners to be able to back you up as you plan. Because when Mike was explaining the different seasons and how critical they are, I look at it as a staircase. You're going up to a stair, you're leveling out, you're balancing, you're planning for the next big step. And so when you don't have capital resources, you're like, well, I'm going to fight like crazy. Once I get there, I'll have enough resources to then hire. Now we're ready to go again, go up again, build out bigger. And Trevor's looking at it like, let's just skip those 3. Let's put our resources together. Like, we can make those kind of bounds. And so
Take 3 steps at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're also already at a plateau, like you mentioned, right? Like you've built out so much of it, so you have all these resources where the average typical starter just doesn't have that.
And that's just the season of life. Like you think back to startups and getting there, and that's a luxury Trevor's got to like take a step back and see like, okay, I've seen that work. Okay, new strategy. Let's go 2.0 and do it.
And that's where you want some harmony of all those pieces. Like what Brad alluded to was he outraised capital for the operations that he had in place. So ultimately, he had to buy out his business partner, fire all the operations, and redo the operations so that the way operations can handle the portfolio size that he's already risen for. So that way they can take the next step and go raise more capital.
Yeah, and I think we're in a good spot because I have everyone doing the now while I can do the future stuff.
Yeah, there's thinkers and there's doers, and you're the thinker. It's easier for you to think about wanting to skip 3 steps than it is for somebody like Mark, who's a doer, who we're trying to move him into the thinker category. But so, and I'm similar. I'm kind of between the two of you, where it's like when you say this is what we want to do, the first thing Mark and I think about is like, wow, that takes a lot of work.
Yeah, but that's the harmony, like you said. That really is.
How are we going to get there?
Well, and if your value's coming from thinking rather than doing, you have to provide so much value. You're overthinking, and that's where the idea of an EOS is. A visionary is supposed to create 20 ideas a week, so that way the integrator shoots 19 of them down every week. So that way but you have to provide that much level of thinking to provide that much level of value. So your team is really just saying, yes, no, and that's the synergy between all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of ideas, and I take them to in the other businesses. I take them to my team, and they always, they're always like, "Oh, here comes Gabe with another idea." And most of my ideas, probably aren't good. Some of them are, and some of them don't work.
Yeah, but they need to see, like, right? You need to have the ego strength to know that. Look, I got to come up with a bunch of crappy fucking ideas, but they also have to recognize that he comes up with 1 or 2, and they're the reason they're all employed.
Yeah, and I'm trying to push everybody to their limit and I'm trying to test to see how far we can actually push it.
Even
that's the stress test.
But that's a spectrum as well, right? Like, do you want to be Japan where everyone is just working, or do you want to be Costa Rica where everyone's kind of enjoying life, right? Like,
well, I think the cool part about what we do is you can do it however you want. Like, you get to design it fully. There's not one way to do this. We get to decide what we want to do. And I think what we're doing right now, we can do 3 times the amount we're doing. We can do the programmatic JV. We can handle that bandwidth, and it's going to be different than these dudes who are doing 260 unit complexes, and we're not going to do that. But we're going to have higher return on cost, higher yield on cost for the deals that we are doing with this one-off JV partner. And then we're going to bridge the gap in the interim with our fundraising funnel and just doing it the way we're doing until we hit that. Because once we get that person, that's more capital than we need to do the deals. And we have the deal flow system ready to crank up as soon as we have that. But we're cranking it up now. And we're lining those deals up for 6 months out right now.
Well, and your goal is 60,000 units or whatnot. You'll get 50 of the 60 in the last 10% of your time frame.
Yeah, we're trying to create $4 billion of equity in the next 10 years.
Yeah, and the majority of that will come in years 9.
8, 9, and 10, yeah.
But, like, I think the key is the programmatic JV, like Jeff said.
And be in a position to operate like, okay, you unlock this lever. Are the other side of it, the operational side, ready to do the actions? Do they have the backup plan? And kind of touching back to the last conversation we were just in was, I heard it this week, Cardone talk about the risk of staying small, being too much pressure on these key people. And when I think of like our growth and trying to get the right people in place, it's building depth to those roles and letting them stand on their own. And that was just a weird mind shift in my head. Like, oh, we're cool, we're lean, we're profitable, we're doing all these things. But then it's also a risk point because too much is in one basket.
Yeah, you have too many single points of failure. To where one,
what do you mean by that?
One key person, if you're too small, you can stay lean and mean, but one key person disappears.
Yeah.
And you're screwed.
Yeah, because in the construction world, it's like, oh, I've got a world-class superintendent that can do X many jobs. It's like, great. He makes more, I make more, everyone's happy, we're good. he tears his ACL. Whatever, like that kind of stuff. And it's like,
or he gets scalped by somebody, or
I guess that makes sense. So it's funny, we're on that topic this week. I really felt that pressure.
Well, it's the same idea, and Rob pointed this out. When you're building your team, it's very much like building your portfolio. You're collecting, like we talk about, we want to stack performing assets. Well, we want to stack performing team members as well. And so, I think it's
all relative too, though. Like Cardone loves the one-liners, but $100 million companies have key persons that if that key person goes down,
for sure.
It
was just really the first time I really thought about like, how that relates to, because I always was complete on the other side. Like, let's be as lean, as like highly dependent, because it's just felt right as a startup doing that. But it's fun to hear Trevor's input, just like looking from such a distant view, looking down, and it's like it kind of hit home this week.
Well, that's what Gabe said, right? Like the mentality needs to change, the mindset needs to change, and that's kind of one of those tweaks. Now you're seeing the value of, okay, well, if we do expand a little bit, what if we, we're at a plateau, we get to that next plateau, it does bring a level of safety. That's what the structure
so
is.
I read his book prior to the podcast on raising debt and equity.
What's it called? It's by Rob Beardsley.
I think it's Raising Debt and Equity by Rob Beardsley.
There's one like the definitive
underwriting guide.
Yeah,
he has that also.
That was, I think, earlier book.
So he has his book explaining how he did this, and it's actually not that complicated. I became a thought leader in the space by posting on platforms. I spoke at as many events as possible, and I had a funnel to attract all these leads to raise money, which is what we're doing, right? And then you do the same thing for acquisitions, and then you have to do it repeatedly. Like, no one builds a system to crank through that and has all, like, they have a clean website, they have a deal room showing all their deals, they have all this stuff that he's breaking down. It's not hard to do, but to do it consistently and then move people through the funnel is the key. In doing those little things of like, okay, Dane, you got to call 100 people on this list every day. It's the stuff that sucks to do, but you got to continually do it until you build the system, and then now someone else can do it, right?
Which is what he's done.
And what was interesting, I thought coming into it, I thought he would have more creative, off the wall, weird.
No,
he's very conservative,
and he's like, I'm simple. We buy not even value add. Like,
no, they do 5 to 7.
Not even chasing value.
They
add.
target 5 to 7% yield on cost. So meaning if you had just, like it's a cap rate essentially. It's your NOI divided by your purchase price and all your capital expenditures, which is not a crazy deal.
But the way he does it is he's targeting very nice product and just turning up little things at the property, but it's not heavy lifts at all. And it's like interesting.
He's just it's funny how he says he's simple, but he's doing one of the most difficult strategies to increase NOI, which is the tax exemption, affordable
100
housing.
little things to make a deal work.
Yeah, which is not what we're doing.
No,
it's simple to him.
Yeah, it's
for us. It feels more simple to develop, even though he said they don't go ground up because that's complicated. It is complicated until you have a system and you rinse and repeat. So for us, it might be more simple to go ground up than it is to do a tax exemption.
And the difference is his is on the front end, then you do the difficult part on the front end, but you have in-place cash flows at acquisition. Whereas on the development side, you're doing it post-acquisition, and then you get the cash flows at the end. So it's just his mind appreciates that more.
Yeah, and every team's going to be a little different, have a different goal, and that's okay.
That's what's fun about it. So many strategies.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to do this the right way.
There's so many different types of real estate that there's so many different personalities that can do it the right way.
So, Mike, what, with your current actions and the deal size that you're getting into, you've seen all the phases, you've seen all the types, and you've heard, I mean, even being around these guys, like, where does your head go of what you want to fine tune as your thing in your pursuit right now?
Yeah, I think, I don't think it's any secret. I've been too lackadaisical in life. Like, I look at systems and I want to vomit. But now what I'm realizing is like, okay, well, it's time to go raise another $1.5 million for this project. We got 45 days to do it in. Well, I don't have the systems. I don't have the funnel. I don't have any of that stuff created. So it's making a shit ton of phone calls, right? And so now I see the value of being able to actually create a system. Which is like, I just met my team we debriefed a project, right? So now I've had so many people wearing multiple hats that now I have everyone wearing one hat, where now we can create those systems. And so it's exciting, but it is a completely different way for your organization to live than how it kind of has lived in the past. And so that's kind of one of the changes where I can see is we're now adding some structure, like we stripped structure out, created too much structure, stripped structure out, now put the right type of structure back in.
I'm like you. When you say the word systems, it just makes me nauseous. Like it seems so boring, but even before I got into real estate in the car business, we used to talk about how there's safety in your system. And so to your point, having the system, it might seem arduous to build, but then thinking about like what Rob said is that he said, I want to sleep at night, and those systems, the better they are going to be the exact thing that help you sleep at night. So that, we were talking about this yesterday, we're closing a deal, and every deal in some level has 11th hour drama. It's like, and so I told Dane, I got on the phone, I said, what we want to do is we want to build the systems so that when we buy a deal, it's not so exciting. It's not a fire drill every single time. We just rinse and repeat. And we're like, yeah, we do this over and over and over, rather than we've got this new problem last minute that we've always got to
we made a mistake
for.
on that by not having a dedicated person in that position. So Dane went and looked at the stuff, but that wasn't Dane's role. So like he shouldn't have been looking at that stuff. So like I knew all our loan amounts and everything, and he was the one verifying them, but he didn't know what they were supposed to be on the front end.
Disconnect, communication.
And that's what we like. There's a hard transition point too, because he was doing all that stuff, right? And now we're taking it away.
But this is like talking about building the foundation. So how do you build the system out so that doesn't happen on the next deal?
Well, and that's part of being lean. Like those are the types of mistakes you make when you're a lean team.
Startup. Yeah. When you're a startup, you're just lean.
You're just going to make these types of mistakes. You just don't have enough. Yeah.
What was his take on going to different markets?
He told us we should. When I asked him for his advice for us, that was the first thing he basically said, is that you should probably look at other markets. So there's a lot of good markets right around us. And it's just really a mental exercise.
I don't think we need to until we hit $1 billion of AUM.
Okay. That's fine. And I think just eventually that's probably
I think eventually we will, but I think we can dominate a market to that point until you need to go to another market.
Yeah, we're working where it's easiest for us to find success. I mean, it's the most efficient thing for us because we've got our platform, we've got the relationships, we know how to get deal flow, we know how to do all the things.
So talking to a guy like that, like what is the ultimate takeaway? Because our goal is talk to a guy like that, learn from his things, and then take a piece and actually implement it, because it's a waste of time to talk to someone if you're not going to implement anything they take. So what's your actual takeaway
like a true robot?
What's your actual takeaway of what can we do from that, or what can we avoid?
Well, right when we got done, I made a comment to Gabe about a property that we have and the strategy behind it, and we went into this whole conversation about our duty as a fiduciary leading the charge on a strategy on a property. And so that's what I felt the most was like, going back to the basics, you designed the plan. People trusted you to operate that plan. You need to see that through and not feel all the impact of, oh, well, people are buying at this price point at that, neighborhood. Because I get it under that price point, I'm going to do it because it seems good. Or I'm going to raise to get to 200 unit developments because that's what other people are doing. Like, you're just getting off track because of the pressures when everybody is relying on you to have a plan and you need to drive that plan. And so it was thinking through like a long-term hold that was designed out of the gate that's feeling short-term pressures of what we should do with it. And so it made me realize let's get back to the original plan. And it brought forward the thoughts of what he was explaining is in certain areas of Houston, and I imagine all markets have these pockets that by principle, we're getting it at a discount. Maybe it's $150 a unit instead of $175. And this property's in one of these areas I don't like for whatever reason, location-wise. If I can get that at a discount, it's worth doing. Like, every property is worth doing at the right price point, which is a philosophy I've always had. Like, I love that, and that is not what he does ever.
It's a fallacy.
And I was like, I was totally against that, and I can see his point on that because every deal we walk, I'm just like, and I do it.
How can you do it?
Yeah, how can I do that deal?
Yeah, but I'm narrowing you to the deals that fit our buy box, so that's fine. Those are how can we do this deal because it was within our buy box.
Yeah, and so
we're not looking at retail and industrial or anything. We're looking at multifamily within this range, within these areas. And that's all you're seeing.
And his point was even pocket neighborhood to neighborhood. Like, this neighborhood is at a discount, and I get a further discount's worth doing. but he's driving all the principles and then looking at price.
I think it's partially because his investor pool too, of what you're reaching to, like that type of like institutional investor or family office has their buy box that he has to go meet.
We touched on that. The bigger you get and the bigger the investor you draw, the more you're looking for safety and stability and just steady growth over time, whereas we're still out looking for big equity pops.
Yeah. So like for us, the programmatic JV is how, and Dane explains this better than I, but how can you get a risk adjusted return on these deals that makes sense for that partner and us as the operator? So that means if you're doing yield on cost and everything's trading at a 6 cap and we're making this deal to an 8 cap, essentially yield on cost, unlevered, like that is the risk adjusted return. The market says it's worth 6 and we're creating a 2% spread on it. And like for that type of partner, that's all they want to see within any deal type that you're doing across the board. So then it's literally us pitching the vision of this is why we do this. This is why we want you to do it with us. This is why the perceived risk is less based on the returns that we can get.
Yeah. And it's just the tooling. Like our crew has the tooling to say like these are the fields we play in because we're going to apply our best path forward. In his eyes, he's buying already done assets and he just cranks them up 2 or 3% operationally. And like that's his tooling.
Yeah.
So that's what's fun about it and that's what's different. But I just love his principles in general is like we're designing the deal, we're operating the deal, and that's our investor pool. Like just very principled in it, and that's what's important.
It's simple.
I'm curious how you see or measure and see bandwidth of what you're capable of doing versus Trevor. Like there's a good, like there needs to be a push and pull there because Trevor needs to push you to an extent, but not overextend you. You need to be able to kind of see into the future what you can do, but also have an idea of what you could do. And so there's this push-pull like relationship between the visionary and what your component is. And every single person's role in that in stack is based on your shoulders and your ability to push that bandwidth forward. So I'm really curious how to see how you look at bandwidth versus how Trevor looks at it and how you guys work that push-pull relationship.
Yeah, it's a journey for sure because people outside looking in see the jumps that we're doing and like to them it seems ridiculous or whatever. But when you're in the space of you have levers to pull, and airbags is a term that we hear a lot of like in our group of a deal can work like that because we have this plan and this backup plan and this backup to the backup plan and all these things. As long as we have those components in a deal, I feel like I'm comfortable because I know if we're looking at a big value add deal in specific, like we got a good acquisition, we got good debt behind it, we got good equity behind what the deals needed and reserves needed, and you just go down the list of like all the different components that can ruin a deal. As long as I feel like we have control of those things, and at any moment we can pull deals back in if they get out of control at certain levers, I'm pretty much down for it because we have the resources in place from a people perspective, a skill perspective, capital perspective. Like we can tackle these things with those levers. The second I feel like our levers aren't there, we're outside of our ability to pull it back in, I'm just a no-go on it. And so at this moment, I feel like we're just pursuing those things that we have control to move things along in.
So when I look at those levers, I see all the levers that you said except yours, they're fixed. Like interest is going up and down, debt is going up and down, but when you execute, that is a fixed component, fixed lever, whereas your lever is the most variable because it is construction driven. And I think that is the most, because that's all post-closing, right? Like it's not fixed. It is a variable. Yeah. Exactly. Like you're trying to fix it to a component. You're trying to have a budget. You have contingencies. You have your timeline. You're building contingencies into your timeline. And so you're trying to turn that variable into much of a fixed component as you can. But this is the one that is not a fixed component. Debt is very easy to fix. Like it's, it's done that day. Purchase price is fixed the day you.
Yeah,
Mark's bandwidth is going to be stretched because we haven't onboarded, right? So like as we're onboarding more properties, that's his job to operate them.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so for him, he has to get out of Skyline sooner so he can operate that from a high level and then dive in to the properties and like make sure they are operating properly.
So your role right now is you're the owner and the leader of Skyline, but you're also the
He's operations
of construction
and
Stack
and like asset management essentially.
Yeah.
So like does this business plan execute? He's leading with the PMs. He has staff helping him do that, but he's ultimately in charge of that.
Yeah, but the role inside Stack is a lot easier than Skyline.
Yeah, Skyline is a lot of outside influence. Like we're dealing with customers. We're dealing with all the layers below customers, reps.
Do you envision Skyline Stack being the only customer of Skyline?
That's the intent. So short term, by us being a good construction company, we do more projects, we get more exposure, we bring in the world-class team. That is the short-term vision. Like the faster we can do that, then in conjunction at the same time, Stack is growing like crazy and doing a lot of projects where we're obviously going to operate those. And so as that team transitions, they see the value of less they have to deal with 5 people to renovate a office building. We work with the same Stack team over and over and over again.
So you can fire SMI the client.
There'd be 100 people there I got to deal with all of them. There's so many people, right? And so the faster the employees at Skyline can see the benefit of 10 development projects at once, one team, to deal with. So that's the merge of everyone's winning versus everyone's out to kill each other on the retail side of construction. But overall, yes, I need to get enough jobs to get the world-class team to then be able to stand on their own, to then be able to transition to developing like crazy with Stack. And I'm realizing that through all these exercises and whatever, like I'm the bottleneck of I love running projects. And so I was looking at it with my wife last night, like tons of projects that I shouldn't be running any of them. And it's like, whoa, how did I get to that? Like the work in progress that I'm in charge of. And I just deal junkie, right? So then getting people in place so that we can go do more things. But that's the fun part of, and what Gabe kind of alluded to is Trevor gets the idea and then we just start thinking, okay, how are we doing it? And so the faster Trevor's like expanding on that, the how is like, okay, reasonable, not reasonable, stop, we're not doing it. And if I'm not present enough in the moment to make that call, then that's the big issue. So if all my time's on Skyline, it needs to be in a position to like, and that's the benefit of all in-house is we get to see the onboarding of a project if it's very construction heavy. Talk to the PM, talk to all the team of the sequencing and everything. It's just like one conversation, and that's what's awesome.
Because I need Mark. He keeps trying to make me learn construction. And I keep telling Mark, I'm not going to learn construction.
Buddy. It's a wait. It's a swimming up.
When did I ever tell you that?
Like you're going to understand these numbers to underwrite the deals. I'm like, I'm never going to do this. Because I just need to be able to free up Mark's time to say he is the yes or no to these construction deals on why we can build them with our thoughts on how we structure them. But like I need him to not be running those projects so he can line up the next one. He doesn't need to find the lead. He doesn't really need to talk to the lead that much, but he has to be like, this is what we will build it for. And here's why, here's our budget. And like that takes a lot of time to do. But as you're running through a lot of leads, like that's a lot of projects you're looking at. Like we're looking at, because our offer to these landowners is, hey, bring your land in. We'll do the partnership. We do all the work. No one's paying you this land value. We'll get you that land value. Plus you have an equity stake in this project that's larger and you get all the cash flow and own part of this asset for long term. So to get people to do that's really easy. But that's a 6-month process to go through and a lot of hours spent to get that started. And there's 4 or 5 that will not make it that far that you have to run through the exercise on. And that takes a lot of time. And he has years and years and years of knowledge. So like rather than me doing it, I want his construction company to do it. Like I don't need to do that.
Do what?
Those dollar costs.
Essentially a fully entitled piece of land that a group has that they wanted to do it, they couldn't do it, they put it out to market, it doesn't sell, or wherever in the middle of that process is. They see us come in and say, we'll help you build your vision. Like, we'll execute on this. We treat them as a limited partner in the deal. They get their land lift in.
No, I get that. But you said, I need them to do that. Trevor said, I need them to do
cost to
this.
build. So he wants me to underwrite on the front end. Here's the general cost to build and whatnot.
Can't you just give him allowances to do
Yeah,
that?
so we build baseline
There's
pricing and then
part of that.
add-ons, so he can quickly be like, okay,
I can filter it to some extent, but like a 5-story walk-up versus a 4-story, like 4/1 versus a 3-story walk-up, and all this very specific construction knowledge.
I honestly think you just have a limited belief on how much info you need to be able to negotiate.
I could go learn how to go do that, but like that's
you don't
not
even
the
need
thing.
to. You just use units of comparison to allow you to do your job.
Sure, but like, what do you think? You keep telling me.
That's the part of doing it is we give it a quick look where it's like, yes, this is worth engaging on, and then our team spends a lot of time to actually build a budget behind it
with no income on that.
That transition is like, I don't even want to have the meeting if we're far enough off that it's not worth.
And that's what I'm saying is you don't need to know that in order to do that. So like your Spokane construction thing, right? Like we talked about for 5 minutes, and my takeaway was like, it's a waste of your time. You shouldn't be having these conversations. That's what you need to be, is like to the point where you're just meeting with the property owners, you're having those conversations. You're like, you guys over-designed the crap out of this. There's no way. You're starting from scratch. You're not doing what you're, which means now you're not talking about entitled land, you're talking about raw land. But that won't take much for you to get to that
Well,
point.
I don't even do acquisitions now.
Then why do you need to know what?
I don't. Ryan does.
He's worked himself out of a job.
I've hired I've outsourced every task that I've had between first I got Avery when I was doing all the marketing, then we got Devin, and then we got Ryan. And you guys, I keep telling Dane.
Oh, Trevor's in charge of HR. He's our HR director.
He's trying to get rid of that role too.
I should not be in charge of HR.
No, definitely not. You should be in charge of foreseeing the org chart. And let
He's
HR
an
do
engineer.
their job.
If you can't tell.
Yeah,
He is an engineer.
Definitely an
He's
engineer.
building something.
I think I'm just lazy, so I don't
That's
want
an
to do the
engineer.
things. I just don't like doing personally like the same thing over and over and over, and I like the new thing.
I'm curious where you think your pain point is, Trevor.
My personal pain point or our company pain point?
Both.
Our company pain point is equity, raising debt and equity right now. Like that's our bottleneck. So debt, we're building out all these packages so we can pre-flight the stuff. I'm training Sean better so he can get that done better and quicker, right? So we have more lending options. That's not a huge pain point. We've got debt 100% of the times. It's just been banging your head on the wall sometimes. But equity is the main thing. So that's where the programmatic JV solves that problem. At the same time, I'm building this funnel of getting investors. So like the funnel is working. Like we built a funnel of Vesta. We learned how to do this, but now it's a different avatar, different thing you're doing. So you have to go through the cycle of figuring out all these things, what's working, what's not, and
Because
test
you
it
can't
every
build
week.
it the same way. You got to make some tweaks to the funnel.
The system itself is
Yeah.
the same, but the messaging you're doing and like what is your hook, what is your offer, how do you do this? That's what's different, and that takes testing and understanding your avatar. So like now, like before we were selling,
Like you guys have a lot of A/B testing for capital ads, like on social media ads, raising capital. You have different types of ads that are out there. You're doing it looks like 4 or 5 different.
yeah, I don't
ways
know.
right now.
We do,
You're just
and then
testing.
Avery brings it, and she brings the results, and I say great, and because she knows more than me about it, and she's building the brand and the avatar, and then we give her the ideas, but she is ultimately in charge. Like her whole goal is generating leads in that way.
She's the doer of the A/B test of what the ideas you're creating, and then she comes back with the results of those A/B tests. Then you say, double down here, stop this, add this here.
So it's like equity is our problem right now. So let's build a funnel and test this. And then if it doesn't work, we'll do the next thing. So I'm using the funnel for the interim, plus what all these guys are doing, a follow-up to direct people. And then to ultimately solve this problem so we're not on a freaking hamster wheel is the programmatic JV of like
Isn't
this.
every real estate company on a hamster wheel?
I don't know. I don't know that many
Tell
people
me
with
one
real
that's
estate
not.
companies.
What do you mean by hamster wheel? Like
So like
building it over and over again?
Yeah, so like with equity, it's like, all right, let's run down our list. We got to call everyone, do all these things versus let's have a system where they're seeing all this stuff on the front end. They get the interest and we're doing less like legwork on it. And that's where like the programmatic JV is the perfect thing. And it's like believing we are the people to do that. And like, I didn't think we were at first, but then Jeff, who picks all the operators, he is only placed equity with us. He's like, yeah, you guys, like just so simply like, yes, you could do that. I'm like, okay, he knows better than us. So like, we should go for it. There's all these people with all of this money. And it's just a matter of time of asking them and proposing like, this is the opportunity we have. will you do it? And that is what we should full force on right now, knowing that we can do that. Because that solves the equity problem as soon as we do that. And then it becomes a deal problem and an operations problem again, right? But like the sooner we do that, like we can keep moving forward.
Yeah, but I think like accomplishing that is also a byproduct of having all the other parts of it built out, right? Like you're not getting that programmatic whatever the fuck you're saying this JV is, you're not getting them without having all the other pieces.
We
right?
have
like
it all.
They're seeing that you have the glue inside of all of it, and then they're just the sprinkle on top to make all of it glow.
And we have it as far as we need to attract those dollars, and we have enough track record, and we've done enough deals, and we have in-house all this stuff that we need to have in-house.
So when you say programmatic JV, how large of is that capital pool that you like? What makes them programmatic?
So this was just a made up term, first off, but
it's a shitty one. Like sense of logic.
Who made it up? Trevor, did you make it up?
This is a real thing that someone made up and then invented, and it exists in today.
Sense of logical is a much better made up term.
And we're friends with the guy who invented it.
Programmatic JV.
Yeah, they funded KKR in their first deal through a programmatic JV.
Oh, that's cool.
Then,
So what do you think qualifies to be your programmatic JV?
That's what we don't know yet, so we have to go full force ahead and take the shots to understand and reiterate and then go back and fix. So like we've never done it. We don't know. Like this is just an idea.
Two things, because it's what makes it for you based on your company size and where you guys are at, but also where do you have to be to make them feel good that you're
so we're at the point where they can feel good. I believe I don't know, I haven't asked them yet, right? So we're building out the playbook of this is what we're doing. And then what was your first question?
For you, what do you think, what dollar amount becomes programmatic JV level for you?
Yeah, I want to go get like 50 to 200 million on the first one.
And so it's
whoa, wait, you can't fucking go past that. 50 to 2, that's that's the universe and the planet, right?
Oh,
like, so is it 50 or is it 200? Because those are two completely different levels of capital.
300. It's like
to me, it's in the unlimited category.
And that's where I struggle with. I'm glad you said that actually, because I think that's where I struggle with being a visionary. Where I don't feel like I am a visionary is, to me, you're just okay. So you say 500, so you say 400, so you say like.
I'm going to get the most amount of money I possibly can to do the most amount of deals I possibly can.
Sure, but there has to be a tether there connected to your team, so that way,
correct.
It is.
We have bandwidth problems that we will run into.
Yeah.
But I'm going to explore this option and then see what we can realistically get.
So how do you do that? Because I love this. We're getting in the mind of a visionary, right? Like, how do you combat? You've got me in here saying, dude, Mark can't fucking do that. You need to get him on board, but you have to have that vision while you are getting him on board, while I'm poisoning your mind saying Mark can't do that. So how does a visionary reconcile all of this to test and change paths? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, so it's just like anything else you're trying to do that you've never done before. You think of end goal, we want $200 million. So step one is like, what is our plan? How are we going to perform on $200 million of capital, right? So we've come up with that. We're going to do the deal types that we're doing right now at a higher scale because there's 5,000 properties within our market that fit that buy box.
So when you say 50 to 200, are you just saying there's a time component in that 50 to 200? Because the question I'm asking you is right now. Okay. You don't know. Okay. So you're in the process of...
I'm in the process of trying to get this money, yes.
You're in the process of figuring out how much money to get, it sounds like. Because ultimately, you're the person with 200 million significantly different than the programmatic JV with 50 million.
I don't know.
So you're establishing you don't know that there's a difference between 50 and 200?
I don't know if that person is different. Let's say they have $500 million. They have an allocation for them specifically that they want to this thing. So if their allocation is $10 million, it's like, okay, that might not be for us. But there's lots of programs out there that specifically need operators. Like specifically the state of Oregon probably has $30 billion probably allocated towards real estate that they're looking for operators with the teachers' pension funds and all the different state workers' pension funds and whatnot, right? So they have their tranches of like, we invest in bonds, we invest in stocks, we invest in real estate. So we are the solution to their problem if they literally have too much money that they cannot place.
Yeah. But you're talking about a certain type of avatar. And that's different than the avatar, right? So the pension fund is the type they're going to drop the 200 million, right? Because they've got 4 billion and they can allocate 200 million.
I'm going to go make the ask and get laughed at and then learn from that scenario and then go to the next person and then take what I learned from this one and do it again. So the same way I figured out how to get commercial loans, I just went and asked and then 25 people said leave and then one person gave me a loan.
Right.
And I'm just going to do that.
Okay, so now you're evolving from talking to banks to talking to venture capital,
large
family
money.
offices.
I think it's past a family office, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't think you need to talk to a family office before you talk to a REIT or a PERS?
Why? I don't know.
Shouldn't you be talking?
There's
to
only
all of
one
them?
organ.
The only
Maybe we blow that.
the
one.
only guy I know who has ever done this told us do it this way, and I said that makes a lot of sense. You know better than us. You are much older. You are much wiser. That is a good idea, and we will go execute
So
that.
let me get my input on this. So when he designed it, he said, you guys are special because you have these elements, which is property management, construction, blah, 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 blah. Pick a specialty. When you have that specialty, go talk to these institutions. They will see that, and they have programs built for these like lower level funding capacity teams. And so he's like, once you have that special sauce, you guys are in a position to go offer on it. So once that's assembled, do it. Trevor's input is like, I'm just gonna get into that room and see what happens, and the next couple might take me. But my would be like, we go through a whole trial. We build it. We run through it with him.
Yeah.
He likes
We're
it.
doing that right now. Yeah.
And then we go towards it. But to do that, we have to pick a product, value add and vintage, of size, of like all the things that make it special. And so that's going to be our limiter for the short term. But we're just trying to get in the door and then see where this program takes us. But Trevor's, I mean, to me, it seems like just unlimited money. We're not going to have enough deal type in our region to do that, in my eyes, at least for the next couple of years.
You have to be
the top.
Your project volume has to be too high that it creates inefficiencies.
At least for the short term.
What you guys are really talking about is a transition, because we started off saying money chases deals and we were looking for the right deal to attract the money. Now you're saying money chases operators. And so now what we're trying to do is we're trying to build an operations team that attracts capital. It's not so much now deal driven. Now it's team driven, and they're investing in us, not in an individual deal. And that's going to be the system.
Yeah. And that staircase visual is super important here. Is like, we did all the stairs. Now we're like going to this stair, and we have to have all the right pieces there. We get to that stair and we see how things are going to look. And then maybe it's like whatever the limitations of our region are, 50 million or something per year.
And that's what I'm trying to distill in, is because you clearly see the stairs. I clearly see and feel the stairs. Trevor doesn't.
I'm on an elevator.
Like he does.
He's
You're
already
on an elevator. And that's the reconciliation question I'm trying to ask, or trying to get kind of some understanding. And maybe that just isn't there. Maybe there is no reconciliation process. You're just like, I'm on a fucking elevator. I really don't care.
Doesn't
the
really
only
matter.
thing that keeps your plateaus are because your team
We
throws-
don't have the answers to your questions because we haven't done it, and we're learning it as we do it. So I don't know how this will go, Mike.
I'm
But
not asking you to tell me how it's going to go. I'm asking you how you operate as a visionary to reconcile your elevator to the doers who are on stairs. That's what
I'm freeing up Mark's bandwidth so we can have more
So I
operations.
can figure it out.
No, like this is
He's trying to get Mark on the elevator.
this might be the first time in Deal Junkies history where I'm being selfish and I'm trying to learn, how do I be a visionary, because I'm so set on understanding the bandwidth of the stairs that I see it as a risk of being too much of a visionary based on the way I'm wired. And so there's a component to you that you're wired in a way that's different from me, where like I would love to understand that, because it's outside of my character, it's outside of my personality, but I know there's significant value there if I could tap into it in a certain way. And so that's what I'm looking at is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
Maybe
your
you just need a Trevor. You're the Mark
perspective
and you
on
need
it-
a Trevor.
Maybe I just need a Trevor.
My perspective is, when Trevor barks orders at, this is where we need to go and this is when, it's to the founding group that is owning their division. That founding member, if it's operational, it's to me. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to go there, so I have to figure out how to get it done. And then I can't rest until I've figured it out, because that's where we're headed. In years past with Skyline and my other things I was doing was like, okay, guys, here's the vision. Go figure it out. And you'd get like 25% there. But I think my perspective is when we have this vision, it's going out to like guys that their neck is on the line. Everything matters. It's all in. So the soldiers do it because there's no other way. And I think that can happen at these high level teams, that like the best world-class people give them a task and they take it as if they own the business. But in our case, like all of us are just necks on the line, so we have to do it to the best of our ability. So he can just give us the vision and then let us figure it out. And that's, I think, the difference of like with the staff.
Yeah, capacity. Like that's a component. That's a term in EOS is capacity. I think they call it the three C's, the capacity. And I think what essentially this is what distilled my aha moment of this conversation was, in order to have an excellent team, you have to have a team that understands their own capacity. And I think that's where Beardsley mentioned it. Like he had to buy out his partner and restart over because his partner probably got in a capacity issue and then they didn't operationally perform. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people to understand is what is their own capacity.
Yeah, his elevator went faster than his people could run up the stairs. And eventually at some point there was a disconnect and he had to start over and he had to get off the elevator and go get on the stairs for a year and pull it all back together so that he'd get back on the elevator again.
And that scares the shit out of me because I've seen it and I've been through it.
Yeah, so I think that's just my take is at this stage in the game, we're all just like trying to make it work, and it has to work, and so we see it through. But I've seen it in the past where like people just don't have the same alignment of interests, and so you put it out there.
End of the day, gotta be aligned.
So we have. Do
you guys have core values? Like, have you guys talked about your values, your core values?
So I think we have a luxury because we've got income sources, and like we're able to get like the team up there without sacrificing, like the way we were able to assemble the team because we had other active,
you got like 4 or 5 successful companies forming one, and then a vision to essentially merge all of those into one, whether it's one company or whether it's multiples that are integrated.
Yeah, and it's so funny seeing like big PE firms or whatever. It's like, oh, we can go into that business and change it immediately because we have all the resources and we know
that's kind of what Stack is like a PE firm that bought 4 or 5 companies and is consolidating them into one. That's interesting. Yeah,
it's kind of cheat codes after you had startups and exits and all that stuff, and like that's why it's pretty fascinating to watch it. In Silicon Valley and all the things like seeing all the velocity that can happen. Like it's happened a lot here with service companies in Salem. Like the multiples people are getting is just unfathomable, but they're like, they see something different. They see the lifetime value of clients different because they have the rules. They know all the skeleton that we don't know. We're just in a different
multiples game. Always get bigger the more you consolidate. When you're in the bigger your end buyer gets too.
Yeah.
And Mark, you were worried we wouldn't have anything to talk about today. What are we going to talk about?
I had something good to talk about. Let me bring it up. This is my.
You didn't have anything to talk about. You're ready to go home.
I know. You guys just need to give me a little lead-in time. All right. I asked Rob what biggest challenges he's facing right now. So I'd like to go around the room. What are the biggest challenges, Gabe? What are the biggest challenges in Stack that we're facing, and how are we getting through them?
Well, I think we keep bouncing around from bottleneck to bottleneck. I think that building the team is the same challenge that Rob said he had, is just building out the team. And how do we do that? It's not so much, I think one thing we really have is momentum, and there's excitement around what's happening. And so we're attracting a lot of really good people around us. We're attracting brokers that want to bring us deals. We're attracting lenders. We're attracting investors. Like we're doing all the things to bring it in. But ultimately, like we were just talking about, our operations team is where the rubber meets the road. We're only going to be able to expand at the rate that we can grow that team and develop that team. And so I wouldn't necessarily call it a challenge. For the company, I would say the challenge is in trying to figure out how to structure the team properly so that everybody gets what they want
Get the
out of
incentives
Stack,
aligned.
so that we're all owners of the company and everybody operates in unison, the alignment that Mike always talks about. And I think for me, just personally as a challenge, as somebody on that team, is how do I streamline my day so that I have the bandwidth and the effort to provide the team what I should be providing. And I think that we're all going to have that same challenge.
Okay. Mike, what about you and your business? What's the biggest challenge you see?
Yeah, I have way too many right now because I'm changing my entire asset and process, right? So like the best way to say that is I've paid off over $100 million of debt. I haven't had to do a PFS in like 10 fucking years. Right. But now I just got a LOI on a $4.2 million loan. Well, yeah, I had to go and look up all my tax returns and create a metrics on, like, I had no clue what I look like on paper to a bank. I assumed I didn't look great, and there's some things that don't look good and there's some things that look better, but it's just a huge transition to where now it's like you have to have an entire package. Then you have to have P&Ls. I haven't had to do P&L, right? Like these are all things I have not had to do because I've lived in the luxury of this hard money, bridge debt, DSCR world where I can live in, I can build a huge portfolio and never have my tax returns looked at. Okay, well that's a lot of work and a lot of projects and a lot of living small in order to do something big. Whereas you can go to big if you just now synchronize that. And so like last weekend, I think I spent 14 hours just putting together this whole package where now it doesn't matter what lender I'm talking to.
Ready to go.
And I know myself now way better than I ever knew myself. And then we get into it. Now we're not even doing a fucking income verification loan, right? We're going to
but you built the system.
But I built the system, which is right. So I don't need this for the 46 unit, but I am going to need it for the care facility. And then that does allow me to go to someone like a River Mark Credit Union and go get a 50% LTV on a care facility because it's structured the right way and because now I have the right type of package. And so that's one component. The other thing, like I'm buried on insurance right now. So we're getting different types of insurance policies. Like, sure, when you just live in the world of we're going to go get a really expensive foremost policy and it's going to last 12 months. And well, now it's 46 unit policies and 10 unit policies, and it's completely different carriers. And then the other part of it is on, like I was talking to you about liability. Well, I've got a developer's license in one company, a GC license in one company. I have E&O in two different companies. I have another company that I just got a condo wrap policy and that has its own developer's license. Well, I should probably actually structure that as one huge GC company, make a bunch of additional insureds underneath that GC company, and now I can get my cost per project down to a cost that yours is on, whereas like you've got 10x the amount of construction, but your policy is only
3x,
2x, not even 2x more than what mine is. And so there's a structure component there that if I change it right and I package it the right way, now I can divvy up my risk in a different way. And so right now I need to evolve into a completely different human being in order to get my team to that next phase.
Got it. A lot of administrative and organizational,
correct,
just season of life,
the stuff that I hate, absolutely hate, that I have not wanted to do. Yeah.
All right, Trevor, what's your biggest challenge right now?
Yeah, so company-wide, I think it's just funding deals equity. I don't think building the team is that hard because we're building the employee profit share program that solves that, and we can attract all the people and they get to be owners within the deals and they get to partake in this journey and feel invested. So I'm not super worried about that, actually. I think it's the details, yes. We need to figure out, and then how do you split that, and then how do you think forward 10 years to not give away the inappropriate amount on the front end. So I think it's just the equity portion right now, which we're solving. Me personally, it's knowing how to do this role of fixing these problems and knowing what to do day to day, and then knowing how to properly like lead these things, because I've never had to do this before and I don't know what it looks like. So for example, the hardest person, like you guys pretty much like I just say stuff and they're like, cool. The hardest person to lead is actually Dane, I think, because we're on like the similar age range and we have a different relationship than everyone else on the team. So getting Dane to like be inspired and believe in like, you can do this, you can raise these monies, like go do these hard things, versus like we're sitting at the thing. I'm like, okay, we got this list of 100 people. These are super cold leads. Let's call them all and see what they do. And it's getting past that roadblock of like, what if they don't do this? What if they don't do that? I'm like, you have a good offer for them. You're helping them. It's a different viewpoint. Like, we got to do these hard things just to collect the data. This may not work. But it's like, how do I inspire? Like, because you can inspire Dane in a different way. If like you say something, Dane's like, hell yeah, let's do it. Versus I say something that's a little different, right? And this is his conception of his idea. He brought all this together too. So it's like a different dynamic, because he was like the dude who did it all for the first year. He did everything.
So yeah, just general leadership and understanding how to motivate.
Yeah, because I use too much negative reinforcement rather than like positive. So it's being like, okay, how is this a more positive environment is what I'm working on for the team. Inspiring rather than like doing it from the other angle. I don't know what you call it.
No, it's good.
You got to empower people. I think that's really important. Is one of the things I love about our team is that I feel like we're doing things that I would never even dream of doing on my own, but doing it together gives me the confidence that I feel like we could do anything. And so then then it's really just how big can we push this, because I wouldn't have dared go off and do a fraction of what we're doing by myself.
I wouldn't either, because I don't know how to build anything.
You built the sauna last week, didn't you?
Dane built the sauna.
Yep, take that back.
I built a 66-unit apartment complex without doing anything.
Or picking up a hammer.
Yet. Only one of us.
I love it when we can claim things for shit other people did.
All right, what's yours, Mark?
Biggest challenge right now is learning how to hand tasks off in a way that gives them that empowerment and alignment of interest and freedom to do it their way. Like, it's fun to see people that are better at stuff than you do a task. Like, it's just the best thing ever. And that's what's so fun about construction. Like, I go hire a flat work crew and I'm like, gosh, they're so good. Like, I would never be able to be as good as those guys. And it's awesome to see people proficient in what they do. But for whatever reason in the administrative world, we get in the weeds and we get like, this is how it needs to be done. And so I'm learning how to hand things off to the team that they are better at the administrative, like the in the clouds kind of stuff in my eyes. Like, it's just not real. Like, the ability to write a system or a like auto reporting Excel thing, like, is just fascinating now that I'm realizing it's possible. And so figuring out how to do that is a challenge, and it's my biggest challenge right now, because I just got a new assistant that is awesome and like so much more capable than I realize.
You're learning how to be a visionary. I just put it all together, which is you're the king visionary over 4 visionaries.
The king. Don't tell Trevor.
Because you are all 4 visionaries in your own Substacks, right? Maybe Dane not as much, because there isn't as much employed
by necessity.
Below him.
Yeah, like you're a visionary. I think all entrepreneurs have a little bit more blend than the rest, right? It's like they are visionaries, but they have to be the operator, so they're somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And so I can drown people with ideas, and I need to get better at that, and that's part of this whole task. But like Bezos was talking about it on a book the other day. He was like overviewing something about how he can bankrupt a company with ideas. And it's like, gosh, that's me. Like, I have a super simple KPI I need to hand over, and then I just like this, and it's all these angles, and it's like, so that's my challenge right now, is just getting better.
You do a lot of tasks that don't need to be done at all, actually. Did you read the book Buy
trying
Back
to figure
Your
out how to
Time?
be a visionary, because the visionaries don't do tasks like that. But that's the personality change for him. And a visionary, they can bankrupt their company. They can also wear their company out by just changing directions all the time. Yeah.
Have you been implementing like the 10-80-10 thing?
What's 10-80-10?
So a big point from the book, maybe you should reread it, is 10-80-10. So you have the first 10%, the vision of the task that you need done. You kick it to the team, and then you're checking on the end. And it's better to have it that way than 100% done by you.
Yeah.
And because like I've gotten better at it, and you have limited time and opportunity, so you got to say no to more things. So I'm looking at all these things. I'm like, these would be great if they were done, but do they help us stack more performing assets? And is it the best use of time? And I'm like, it actually, if this doesn't get done, it won't actually move the needle. These are all these little things that I could do and whatnot. I'm like, oh, just delete. My schedule is now free.
Those are the parts of the car that don't have to run properly for the car to keep going and still be safe.
Yeah.
Like, you need a seatbelt, but if the muffler's leaking a little bit, that's
classic visionary over here. But what's cool and like practical of that is I implemented this new email software that Maddie runs for me now. So every email goes in, she can respond on my behalf and sort it and do all that. And every day I check the email and there's like 2 emails that I need to see from my 120. And it's like, where are they? And then you're like, I don't need them. They're done. And it's just awesome to see, exciting. So
I think part of it too is when you have other people, you have to just accept there will be mistakes.
Well, Dan talks about it. He's like, a task 80% done is still 100% awesome.
Awesome, yeah. And it's like, so think about Devin. Devin's controlling millions of dollars. Devin is going to make $1 million mistake probably at some point. But that's not a problem as long as you learn from the mistake and we can move forward on it, right? Where it becomes a problem is if it repeats over and over. But like, we've all made hundreds of thousands, $1 million mistakes. And that will happen. And I think you just have to accept like that's just part of the game.
Yeah, that's a part of your company. Like, what kind of level of mistake dollar-wise do you let your employees have? Like, that's okay. We've all had them. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool to say my employee made $1 million mistake. I feel better because of it.
Yeah, let's take some zeros off of that.
Given a control.
Yeah.
Rob talked about control. You talk about control. And having employees is giving up control, having trust, hiring the right people, training them, managing them.
Yeah, but that's back to my point of the small team is the risk because you are in control of everything. Mm-hmm. The faster you can get your way out of that, the more safe the business is.
Yeah.
Which is wild, but it's so true.
Control's fake. It's fallacy. Safety is a fallacy.
Yeah.
All right. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to sign so we close on that deal.
Oh, we got to go sign
check
papers.
Your DocuSign. I was doing half of it and I realized it's worthless if you do it. Don't do it.
All right, Deal Junkies. Hey, we love you. We hope you're enjoying this podcast. We're sure having fun recording it for you. Please share us and we'll see you next time.